Stephen J. Mauger was born on July 30th, 1929 in Cambridge, Pennsylvania. He had 7 brothers and 3 sisters. One of his brothers was enlisted in the Navy, and 2 others were drafted. The rest of his brothers were also drafted, except for one. Mr. Mauger graduated in 1948, and after that, he went to work in the coal mine. After 2 years of mining, Mr. Mauger was getting into a boring routine, so when he received his draft notice in the 50s, he decided that he wanted out of the mine.
This was in Camp Pickett, Virginia. And then I don't know which place that was in D.C., but they called it Tent City. So we took training there. And so we had a lot of training. Then they had to do enough training because they were sending 2 divisions to Germany. Mm-hmm. So till you get all those people, all those troops together, so everybody kept training.
After he was drafted, it was off to basic training. As anyone could imagine, the first month was all new. He was training in Camp Pickett, Virginia.
You crawled under the barbed wire, and then they shoot right over your head, live ammo. It wasn't bad. The first month was all new, you know. And after that, once basics training's over, the hard part's over.
There wasn't any time between training and when he was being shipped over to Germany. He rode the Harriet General Tyler on the trip there. The ocean was terrible. Mr. Mauger was shipped out of Hampton Roads, Virginia, and sent off to Hamburg. However, the trip was not over quite yet. After he left Hamburg, he still had a long train ride ahead of him. 12 hours later, he ended up in Munich. What division were you in?
The 43rd, 169th Infantry Regiment, 43rd Division.
There were many events from Mr. Mauger's service that stood out. One in particular took place on a narrow, snowy road.
Well, this one experience there when we was going to up there where we take all the exercise, field exercise. I don't know what countries it borders, but this one truck was going on the small thin path road. And all of a sudden, it just rolled over, and I was in it.
You were?
Yeah, there's troops. It was full.
While Mr. Mauger liked being in the Army and all, his favorite times were when he got to kick back and relax on his R&R.
France, Paris, we were pretty good. And Holland was all pretty good, all really nice. But then when we would always come back to Germany, back to Leipzig Hotel, anyway, that was a nice, it was cheap. I think it's quarter for sleeping, a quarter for a meal. That was back in 51, 52.
What do you think the biggest lesson you learned from your entire military experience was?
Do the best you can for everybody, and you'll be able to stay treated the same.
This interview has been conducted for the Veterans History Project at the Library of Congress.